Hi there, I'm Jennifer Vanderbeek with scrapsoflife.com and welcome to my channel. For those of you who are current subscribers, thank you for not unsubscribing for the last year and a half or more where this channel has been tumbleweeds and crickets, which is why I'm making this video. And if this is the first video that you're seeing of mine, welcome, let's get acquainted. As I'm recording this, it is January 1st, 2021. Happy New Year! So back in 2019, I came up with an idea that I called Stashcraft 19. It has nothing to do with facial hair, and it has everything to do with using my considerable craft supply stash to create a finished product every week with a video using primarily, if not completely, just tools and supplies I already owned. Now, if I do say so myself, this was a very good idea, and I did really well for the first 3 months of the year. I didn't get bored with it. I didn't fall out of love with the project or the goal. So what happened? What happened after that? Well, it actually happened at the end of January. I came back from Creativation, and work had added some duties. It had added an entirely new division, and because it was very paperwork and regulation sensitive, it fell to me. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a new adventure. Yay, we'll jump right in and we'll get up to speed and that'll be that. Only that'll be that didn't happen. At first, for the first couple of months, I tried to juggle the best I could. But eventually it got to the point where I was just absolutely, I was exhausted, and I had to make a choice. And I made what seemed like, and probably still would seem like to a lot of people, the logical, responsible choice to invest my time at my job that pays the bills and not what I do at home for fun and not much money. Kind of depends. It sounded like a good idea, and most people would not find fault with that, and I couldn't find fault with that. At first I thought, okay, I'll just take a couple of months to get this settled, work out some, structures, whatever, and then I could come back and I could restart doing my crafts and continue with the Stashcraft challenge. Yeah, that never happened. It just didn't happen. It didn't. So it's not to say that I wasn't creative. I did do some projects that year. I participated in 3 local art exhibits. One was a sidewalk chalk painting one, which I'd never done before, and that was fun. And then 2 other art exhibits. And so I wasn't completely devoid of creativity, but it was a lot less. And then 2020 happened. It was a dumpster fire. We all know that. Whether it was politics, whether it was the Black Lives Matter movement, whether it was COVID-19, no one was unaffected by the events of 2020. Everyone felt the impact in one way, shape, or form. For me, working in an industry that supports an essential industry, we never had to close down. We kept working, for which I'm grateful. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I know so many people that weren't as fortunate, and but because my job includes things like HR and payroll and finances, all those legislations, all the rules that came out, all the changes that kept happening, yeah, that actually made more work for me. And again, I'm not complaining. This is a statement of fact. It just was what it was. And just like everyone else, I rolled with it the best I could. Unfortunately, the best I could wasn't good enough. And what had started in 2019 continued at an accelerated pace in 2020. And that was the decline of my mental health. it went downhill a lot. To the point that in November, early November, I reached that point. That was my rock bottom. I said to myself, I can't keep living like this. So I got help. This isn't tragic. This isn't an excuse. It just is what it is. I reached out for help, and I'm getting that help. And you might be thinking, well, what does that have to do with a channel that's like crafts and cooking and stuff like that? I'm getting there. I'm getting there, I promise. So, turns out, I have ADHD. Never knew. I'm 44 years old. Never knew. Not a clue. So I'm not claiming to be an expert in this at all. This is still a learning process for me and will continue to be a learning process. And I've had a lot of moments where I've watched a YouTube video by an authority on the subject, or I'm talking with my therapist, or even watching TikTok videos by authorities or people who have lived with this longer than me, or have known about this longer than me because it's always been there. And I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, oh, that explains a lot. But the biggest aha moment was actually courtesy of Dr. Ned Hollowell, if I'm remembering correctly, when he explained that ADHD brains, in their constant search for dopamine creators, really do well with always having something to do and having hobbies and something creative to do. Light bulb moment. When work got busy, I slowed down my crafting. I slowed down my creativity. It was a logical, rational, responsible choice. But it took away probably the most effective coping skill I had developed without realizing it over the years. I've always had something creative going on in the background until the last 2 years. And as that dropped off, as my crafting declined, my anxiety and stress went up. Or you could look at it another way, the fewer creative projects I did, the lower my mental health went. However you want to construct that graph, it is what it is. I had, over the years, I had instinctively, intuitively figured out that I need to be creative in order to do my best at anything else. In fact, I used to say to people, in a very pithy, offhand, privileged way, when I look back at it, that, oh yes, my creativity keeps me sane. I was mostly joking. I didn't know how true it was. So, all that to say, I'm back. Stashcraft is still an amazing idea, in my opinion. In my opinion. Not only because of my penchant for having 1,001 crafts or hobbies. Like a lot of crafters, I accumulate tools and supplies at a much greater rate than I complete projects. And I will admit that in 2020, when I did not have time to craft that much, I was still buying stuff. Retail therapy is, yeah, that's a whole different subject. But I have even more stuff now. I have a couple of new hobbies that I've taken on or attempted or thought about taking on, but I bought the stuff for, so yeah, we're gonna get into that at another time. So Stashcraft still lives, but I'm going to be responsible about this still. I'm not going to be unrealistic in my expectations because I still have a very demanding job that I still have to do because it still pays the bills. But I am going to make more time for me. I'm going to make more time for the crafts and creativity that are absolutely essential to my mental health and I'm going to document it through videos. So I won't be pushing myself to finish a project every week, because with my workload, it's not feasible at this time. I'm still going to finish projects because that's like a major dopamine boost. That like super happy brain chemicals when you have something, a finished object. Look what I did. I'm still going to share those. Oh my gosh, believe that. But my main goal for 2021 is to get back to doing something creative every single day, even if it's just 5-10 minutes. The goal is 15 minutes minimum of creativity a day. And so each week I'll come in and I'll check in with you, and I will document. I will use this as my accountability, as part of my journey, not just getting back to who I am and my best self. That sounds cliche, but we're going to go with it. But what is best for my mental health. And I'm going to bring you along with me. And if this is something you're interested in, I encourage you to stay with me. If this is something you're also struggling with, making time for yourself, your creativity each day, then I invite you to join me. If you choose to embrace the Stashcraft ideal of finished projects using supplies you already own, then I encourage you to do so. Oh my gosh. And let me know, share in the comments, hit me up on social media. That's something else that I dropped off the face of over the last year and a half or more. And I'm going to be slowly, carefully getting back into that. But if you tag it with Stashcraft21, I will make sure to see it. I want to see what you guys do. If you are struggling to make time for your creative practice, your creative outlets, your creative therapy, call it what you want, then I encourage you to take these steps with me and make time for it. Do what you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you made it all the way through this video, thank you so much. I am looking forward to this journey. I am looking forward to getting back to myself, because for the last year I have not felt like myself, and I want that back. I want that back. So if you like this video, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. But most of all, I wish for you a creative and fulfilling 2021, whatever that means to you. Until next time.